Hi everyone, welcome back to Disc Golf Valley Tips and Tricks, where we are going through the courses one more time here in 2024. The courses have changed somewhat with some new features and some redesigns, and so we thought we'd go through them again. And we are using some of the new disc packs that are available to get us jump start down the path, so to speak. And so we picked up the Strive pack, the Tournament pack again, and a Nostalgia pack that gives us the Big Skip Rive disc, which is a wonderful disc to have in your bag. And we also have a Pure Putter. That's the one that we got from Windswept Fields from 3-starring that. So we'll maybe put that to use in this practice run today of Harrowing Woods. And as we go through, we'll give you some tips and tricks on how to get your birdies and eagles on this so that you too can easily 3-star this. Let's get started. Harrowing Woods, if you haven't played it, it's you're playing at night in kind of a creepy, spooky forest with lots of swamps and lots of places to lose your discs. So that just makes it a lot of fun, especially around Halloween time. They really dress this course up nicely to make it kind of spooky. But let's show you how to birdie and eagle these holes. The first one, we'll use our flow disc. The flow disc that we picked up in our pack has about the same flight path as a 10-speed musket. If you have one of those, you can just substitute out for what we're doing here. And we'll put a little bit of a hyzer on this because we want it to swing around and come up to that basket. For our birdie. And there really isn't another play there. I think if you don't have a musket yet, you could get your approach in with just the 7-speed Explorer and get close enough that you can still get your birdie. But that's pretty much the play there. Let's move on. Okay, some people call this Stonehenge. They've got a circle of stones here. Our 11-speed flow disc, it would probably be the one to use here. Let's put our pointer on the other side of that tree, but put quite a bit of a hyzer on that so that it can swing around those trees and kind of make its way, well, ideally, make its way through those two standing stones, but this does leave us an opening here. We should be okay. And since it's a little bit of an upshot, I'm going to put my pointer closer to the top of the basket, but pull it down to the same normal line there, that first line, and in it goes. Let's play it again and see if we can't get more of a normal approach here. And in this wind, I think I'll probably put maybe just a little bit more hyzer on this to counteract that wind. And we get stuck behind one of these, but I think we'll be fine. We can just kind of straddle that a little bit and still be able to get at this. You're probably noticing that I tend to use the fuse more than the pure. I'll use the pure more when I have to go around things, like if there's a tree in the way before the basket. The pure disc you can get to turn or fade more than the fuse. The fuse just doesn't really like to turn at all, so I shouldn't be talking while I'm playing here to pay attention to the wind here and make some adjustments. Play it one more time and show you that it is possible to get this also with the Explorer. So if you don't have the musket or the flow disc yet in your bag, you should be able to be good with the Explorer. Doesn't quite go as far as you'd like, but should still be able to get this for the birdie. All right, moving on. This one is definitely made for the Explorer disc. You'll want to put quite a bit of a hyzer on that, and kind of check the wind to help you know how much to put on. But you want this to swing around. Didn't really swing around very much. Probably should have put a bit more hyzer on it. Play it one more time. But it's pretty consistent, pretty easy hole to get your birdie. Okay, a little even stronger wind this time. But let's continue to use our 7. Maybe we can bring our pointer over more and put that hyzer on. And this is kind of more what we were intending to do for an easy toss in. All right, hole number 4, and this hole you can actually get an ace on. You might want to practice this one over and over again until you get comfortable knowing what you have to do, where you have to point, and how much hyzer you have to put on in any given wind conditions to get a good chance at an ace here. And just in case this is the first time that you've happened along one of our videos, I'll show you how you can easily do that in the practice mode. Let's just retire out of this and choose Harrowing Woods, and let's select 4, hit play, and now in any given wind condition that you want to practice, you can just hit restart and you'll be presented with a new wind condition. Usually. Sometimes it just gives you the same time as one as last time. But if you are practicing a certain wind condition, you can use this method to find a wind speed that you want to work with. Okay, so here's where I usually put a pointer in this type of wind condition, and I usually pull straight back. That's what I find to be the easiest to remember, is where you need to point it to get a straight back throw that has a chance of getting in the basket for an ace. There we go. Now when you actually finish up, you are presented with the option of replay hole, and that's fine too, because that's going to give us a new set of wind conditions to play with. But if you find that you're missing the basket a lot in any given wind condition, just know that this is a great way to just hit restart, and you can keep hitting restart until you get the wind condition that you want to work with. Well, let's try this one. In this wind condition, I usually put my pointer somewhere like about here and pull straight back. And let's see how we do. Not quite. And this disc is a little bit different than the one I usually work with. So in order to really master these, I'd probably want to spend some time on the practice mode, but I'll let you do that on your own, and I think we can move on. All right, there's several different ways that you can go here. The one that I find that works the best is to take a distance driver that has a roll attribute, and I usually put my pointer just kind of lining up with this third tree that's kind of lined up in a row there, and put a little bit of an anhyzer on that so it goes around that tree but then comes back. And because it's a roll disc, it doesn't slide away too far and leaves you with a fairly good comeback. Let's maybe slide over a little bit. Hopefully not get caught up in this stump. And that gives us a nice eagle, which is always nice when you're working on your 3-star run. Let's play it again. Didn't put quite as much hyzer on that, because there is a chance that in the right wind you can ace this. But it's a little risky because you can end up in the pond or little stream or swamp there. Otherwise, you come back nicely for an eagle. Let's move on. Okay, hole number 6. There's a lot of distance drivers that you can use here. The idea is to get through a little opening in the rocks here with your drive. And if you do, then you're set up nicely for another eagle. And I find that if you've got this big skip driver, if you put your pointer somewhere about there and put just a little bit of a hyzer on that, that usually that works. Sometimes it does kind of a pinball action there to get you through. Normally it goes through cleaner than that. We'll have to play it again. For our eagle, and let's try it again. That's kind of what we're looking for. But if you don't have the big skip driver, it should still work with some of these other discs in the Strive pack. We could probably go with this Extra Glide Light. Now the Strive disc does tend to fade off to the right a little bit, so I think put my marker more about there and pull straight back. And yikes. Let's take advantage of our rethrow situation here with this practice mode and maybe put our pointer down more so it doesn't hit the top of that tunnel. Sometimes hitting the tree like that slows it down, brings it down, so any distance driver will probably work here. You just have to learn what you need to do. Now, if you don't have a distance driver, then you probably are not going to be able to get your eagle here, but you should be able to still get your birdie, and that's all you really need when you're doing your 3-star run. Like, let's say if we had just the flow disc, or let's say you just have the Explorer. I think that you should be able to get close to getting through here. But that's okay. If you're just going for your birdie, you should be able to now lay up with your pure disc and then pop it in for your birdie. For the birdie. All right, hole number 7. And when you first start playing this hole, you might find it a little difficult to get your birdie on this one because the basket is kind of obscured inside of a tree, as we'll see in a minute. However, once you play it for a little bit, you'll be fine. You'll get your birdie most of the time. Before I show you what I usually do here, let's just see if you still have your recoil disc. Let's show you what you can do to sometimes at least give you a chance of getting a ace on this hole. Because of the big skip attribute, it will sometimes hit the hill and skip into the basket. I suppose I won't be able. It's been so long since I have tried this. I'll have to remember just what to do in any given wind condition. Let's try something about there. Nope. And that's always fun when you can do that. Feels good when you get an ace. But if you are trying for that, I recommend you spend some time practicing with that big skip disc, because what can happen is if you miss, that disc can really skip off into the forest and make it difficult to come back to get your birdie. So what I normally do, especially when I'm going for a 3-star or I'm in multiplayer and I don't want to risk getting a par on this, I'll just usually take a 10 speed, or in this case this flow disc, because it kind of acts like a 10 speed, and just bring it all the way back, and that usually brings you up close enough to the basket for an easy birdie. And sometimes the 10 speeds will go right up to the edge of the tree, and then it's just a matter of a tap in, which is nice. Where I would normally try for the ace is when I'm working, say it's the first hole of a daily, because when you're working on the daily, and we'll have to one of these times record a daily session, the first hole you can play over and over again until you get your ace, and then start your daily, and that way you get a good start on the daily. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything else I could show you here. Given the discs that we have in our bag, I suppose we could try the roll disc strive here and just not come down all the way, maybe something just down to the second rung there, and that might slide right up to the base and maybe give us a tap in. Not quite. Okay, sometimes you have to slide over to get a good shot at it, and sometimes, let's see if I can show you another scenario here. Sometimes you need to use one of the branches to rebound off of. Let's try this and see if we can get something that can illustrate that. Okay, so we're kind of not got a good shot at the basket. Even if we slide over, it's a little bit uncertain that we could actually get that. I mean, you could try, and maybe you're fine. Can't slide over anymore. That'll probably go in. But the other strategy would be to put your disc somewhere right about here and bounce off that branch and back into the basket. Let's see if that works. Something like that. So keep those ideas and tips in mind when you're playing this hole, and you too should be able to get a fairly consistent birdie on this hole. All right, hole number 8. There is a chance of an eagle on this hole. I don't get it very often, but I'll show you what you need to do. Maybe use the Explorer to lay up, and what I usually do is just slide it over and lift it up just a bit. Otherwise you'll hit one of those branches as you approach. And this should stop with a good angle on the basket. And mind you, it is quite a distance, and that's why I say I don't get it very often, a 58-meter putt or throw in. But it's something that you can try for, because there's a bank right behind it that's going to catch your disc and usually doesn't drop off into the swamp if you miss. From this angle, if you're over a little bit and you come on the other side of that tree, then yes, if you miss the basket, you're going to end up in the swamp. But from this angle, you should be fine. And for 58 meters, I'm going to bring it down to right about here. Watch the cameraman sway around. And it was just a little bit too much. Probably what I should have done is just hit the replay button there. But let's show you first how you can come back for your birdie. And play it again. Let's see if we can't get that eagle. Alright, so our Explorer discs, slide it over and up just a little bit. clear shot. This time it's 60. So for 60, we overshot it a bit last time, so maybe I won't pull it right down to the second line like I normally would for a 60. Watch the bopping and weaving around and let it go when it's kind of centered up there. And not quite. But you can see that is the play, and every once in a while you'll get an eagle that way. Let's move on to the last hole. Okay, this is a one of those holes when you first start playing that you can get caught up in the woods so much that you end up with a double or triple bogey. But once you know what to do, you can get a fairly consistent eagle here, which is nice. And I've even gotten a couple of albatrosses on this. But when you're playing for your 3 stars, you kind of want to play it safe. The albatross is not a safe throw, but maybe we'll show it to you when we get this one down. Let's switch to a forehand, and with our disc, our big skip distance driver disc pointed about there, we want to put a little bit of an anhyzer on that, and just how much of an anhyzer will depend on the wind or the particular disc that you're using as to how much it fades. So you'll want to experiment with that, but with this Rive disc, I put it about there, and it should go far enough and then start swinging in. Well, it would have been nice to go a little bit further before it started swinging in, but it's happened to bounce off a tree, so we should be okay. I think I'll use the Strive disc that has the extra glide attribute. And because this one's naturally going to go off to the right, I'll put a little bit more hyzer on it than I normally do with the disc that I usually use for this, and that gets us within throw-in range for the eagle. Too much weaving around. Let's do it again, see if we can't get a little bit more of a conventional lie here from our drive. That's a little better. That's about where you want to end up on your drive. And then 114 meters, then we can use this roll disc and be fine. Put it up a little bit to lose some energy in the sky. And sometimes you can get it in on that second throw, and that'll be your albatross. But there's another approach for an albatross. Here's the play on that. This does come with a lot of risk, so I probably wouldn't try it if you're in a multiplayer or anything, or some kind of a challenge. But if, like I say, if you're on the first, if this is the first hole of a daily challenge, then you can replay it as many times as you have time for or want to, until you possibly do get that albatross, and that would be a great start on a daily. Alright, so put your pointer right about here, and this has to be with a big skip distance driver. Put quite a bit of an anhyzer on that, and what you want to do is kind of sneak through a stand of trees here. That didn't quite make it. So that's what you want to do. And when you do sneak through the trees there with that big skip driver and you get out this far, and it'd be nice if it had gone just a little bit farther, but I think we can try even with the fuse here. A lot of these trees right around the basket don't have any collision factor, so you can go right through usually. So let's just try it as though there's no tree there. And bring it down to about here for a 58. Ooh, didn't quite make it. But if that had gone in the basket, that would have been an albatross. And when it doesn't quite make it in the basket, you come back easy for a eagle still. So there you go, tips and tricks for Harrowing Woods. Next time we come back, we'll go and actually pick up our 3 stars on that. So hope to see you back here. If you haven't already done so, we invite you to subscribe to our channel so you'll get notified each time we release. And we'll see you next time here at Disc Golf Valley Tips and Tricks. So long for today.